Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone. Welcome to the CIA debate. I'm Fuji as an adjudicator. The topic of debate is about the inclusive curriculum. Does it represent minorities and disabilities? You may use any notes, book, or devices you find helpful. You may never interrupt the speaker. Please be respectful while others are speaking. You may pass notes but not talk aloud. You will have goes you will have 60 seconds between speakers to work with your team. As you listen to your opponent, keep in mind that after the debate, you will be giving them up to 90 seconds of feedback on how to become better debaters. Today's motion is inclusive curriculum. Does it represent minorities and disabilities? Next, today's agenda. First, introduction to the session by adjudicator. Second, first speaker's turn. Third, second speaker's turn. Fourth, summary and scoring. Next, debate guidelines. Please consider and follow these rules before you start the debate. First, each team have to prepare their case after adjudicator read the motion. Second, each speaker have 4 until 7 minutes to speak. Third, each team have one chance to state their POI. Fourth, each team are allowed to not accept the POI. Okay, the first affirmative speaker is Novia Hadi. Please.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Fuji, for welcoming me. I'm Novia as a first speaker in the affirmative side. Okay, I would like to introduce first um, what is actually inclusive education. According to UNESCO, inclusive education, also called inclusion, is education that includes everyone with non-disabled and disabled people, including those with special education needs, learning together in mainstream school, colleges, and university. Based on this article, Sejarah dan Perkembangan Pendidikan Inklusif di Indonesia, inclusive education is becoming an alternative for disabilities and minorities who have barriers in terms of physical or mental, but they can be able to get involved in normal school. Education Law number 12 of 1954 stated that both normal and disabilities or minorities students or education have been guaranteed. Government has facilitated SEM. In 1984 program of the obligation of compulsory school for 6 years in primary established, and it makes changes of SEM special education needs developed to become primary, secondary, special school. According to IDEA, the Individual of Disability Education Act stated that the category of disability is divided into two. The first is mental retardation, hearing impairment, including deafness, speech or language impairment, visual impairment, including blindness, orthopedic impairment, autism, traumatic brain injury, other health impairment, or specific learning disabilities. The second category is people who by reason need special attention due to financial problem or poverty, international issue related to their life problem, drug usage, broken home, and those who need related services from the government, such as they are unable to go to school since the distances and live in a remote area. Regarding to this issue, the government put further sympathy of disabilities and minorities' rights in education by establishing the laws number 20 of 2003, especially in chapter 5. The first chapter 5, verse 1 and 2 stated that every citizenship has an equal right to get qualified education. And the second one, citizenship with physical, psychological, mental, orthopedic impairment has special education. From many laws that has been established by the government, the regulation from Indonesia Ministry of Education clearly give a point solutions regarding to inclusive education number 70 of 2009. It stated that people with physical, psychological, mental, or orthopedic impairment they considered have potential and special talent. Based on this, they can involve education and learn together with normal people. United Nations established the resolution number 61/106 about Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability on March 30 of 2007 and assigned by Indonesia government in New York. The convention is contained the purpose, the country's obligation, rights of persons with disabilities, and the implementation and national securities. According to Surat Edaran Kemendiknas 2010, number 6, Dirjen Dikdasmen Depdiknas number 380 in 2003, 20 January 2003, that every district and city of Indonesia is required to organize and develop inclusive education, at least for schools that constitute level of primary and middle secondary and higher secondary. There has, can we go to the next slide? There has development of training and education program to facilitate special guidance teachers for inclusive education to understand their competency. They should master for inclusive education. It has been developed based on theoretical basis, legislation, and through understanding of inclusive education. It states that there are 4 competencies for special guidance teacher that has to be mastered in terms of personality, their social, their pedagogic, and their professional standard. And this article also said that based on the district or cities according to data from the Directorate of Regional Arrangement, Spatial Autonomous and the Regional Autonomy Advisory Council Ministry of Home Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia 2014. The number of autonomous districts in Indonesia is 542 that constitute 34 provinces, 450 districts, and 93 cities. The number of special guidance teachers is at least 542 teachers has to be spread in various regions or districts in Indonesia. This is the number of schools based on the data from BPS for 2015 and 2016 that counts how many schools in Indonesia, especially in senior high school, they contain 33,190. In junior high school, there are 53,957, and elementary school contain 172,096, and there are 85,499 kindergarten. So the total of school in that spread in Indonesia and all over Indonesia, the totals are 344,743. So based on the result, of 2018 stated that the Organization of Inclusive Education has successfully done through the program developed. There has been 1,600 schools with inclusive uh, education spread in any kinds of primary, secondary, higher secondary, and vocational high school all over Indonesia from this program, the training program. Okay, can we go to the next slide? Okay, the next slide. Yes. Another article of Rencana Induk Pengembangan Pendidikan Inklusif Tingkat Nasional 2019 and 2024 also had stated that the implementations of inclusive education in Indonesia is done by doing a survey, group discussion, workshop and seminar as a validation of this planning, and then it refers to inclusive education, which is based on international standard. Okay, can we go next? Okay. In the article of Pendidikan Inklusi and Perguruan Tinggi by Mulyatul Makfiro 2018, inclusive education has been successfully applied in the level of university. So the study program in Tarbiyah Stain Pamekasan has set the program for teachers to be ready teaching in inclusive education. The article said that inclusive education has been applied especially in major of PAUD since 2016 and PGMI Guru Madrasah Ibtidaiyah since 2017. In the near future, it is going to apply in all majors due to its importance to the purpose of national and religion education. It also emerged a positive view, such as enriching knowledge, experience, and develop sense of humanism in relate to disabilities. The lecturer who teach in PAUD and Guru Madrasah Ibtidaiya has set the program and has set the programs that cover the syllabus, RPS, to teach inclusive education for the successful goal and effective. Yeah, so the aspect that is going to be taught by to their students, it covers the history and understanding of inclusive education, the curriculum, variation, goal, and model inclusive education, teachers and learning activities in inclusive education. The students also are expected to understand the characteristic of disability student or normal students, and they are going to be taught how is the model and the teaching method, how to guide the disabilities. They will know the concept of autism and education services, and they are able to manage the inclusive education, and they also taught how to guide and monitor inclusive education. They are also provided and supported, and they are given the opportunity to do the qualitative research and observation based on inclusive education. So inclusive education in another side indeed emerged a positive point from the students who have been trained in inclusive education course. For students who have joined this program, they, based on the interview, they said that they can realize that disability student is not a crazy people as as what other people say. And they also say that not all disabilities like autism are crazy, and they don't deserve to be isolated from their environment. So they also say and think that disability are very and should be identify their potential to minimize their weaknesses so that they are able to be independent without their parents or people surrounding. So the students in this university who has been taking this courses, uh, are expected to understand, to master, able to implement the theory, concept, principles of inclusive education, especially in teaching and learning in inclusive school later on. Okay, another implementation that has been successfully the government that has been successfully done is in informal school of Paket B, that is in PKBM Sri Kandi. PKBM Sri Kandi is also one of the informal school who has adopt inclusive curriculum. Yeah. Uh, from this article, it also has been analyzed in the side of tutor and students, both normal and disabilities or minorities, emerge a positive view against its development. Like PKBM Srikandi, first can plan they plan well the purpose to achieve the goal. They consider the principle of learning that match to students characteristic and potential, such as planning the learning material, and teacher plan the method and approach, such as interpersonal approach by giving the motivation inside or outside the classes. And teachers also need to plan the evaluation on how far they achieve well. The application of inclusive education in PKBM Srikandi is considered to be success. It can see from the result of interview that students special education needs can develop in terms of skill and knowledge. It can be seen from the assessment process is performed in a variety of way and continuously, and it can be considered as feedback for the students. Thank you. I think that's all from the first speakers of affirmative side.
Okay, thank you for the first speaker from the affirmative team. Next, the first speaker of the negative team, please.
Okay. Thank you, adjudicators. Um, Good day, everyone, and adjudicators. Honorable Mrs. Fuji, thank you for giving me the time and place to speak. Okay, so the topic of our debate is inclusive curriculum and about its representation towards the minorities and disabilities. However, we are not agree with the definition given by the opposition team. The first speaker said that the definition of inclusive education is the education that includes everyone with non with non sorry and with non disabilities. They include everyone who disabilities or with non disabilities, and those special needs learn together in a mainstream education, school, universities, or colleges. Um, why I reject this definition? Because the definition that the first speaker gave did not give still remain unclear, and it is not clear which person is categorized as people with disabilities. And this one is actually linked to my first point. Before I stated my first point, as the first speaker, I'm going to be talking about the inclusive education, the definition, terms, and the report of its implementation in Indonesia. And our second speaker will be talking about the barriers in implementing the inclusive curriculum, the future challenges await, and as well as to sum up our team case. Go back to the why I reject the first speaker of affirmative team definition. The terminology used by the Indonesian government on the matter of people with disabilities constantly changing, starting with the title bercacat, orang-orang yang dalam kondisi kekurangan jasmani atau rohani, tuna, penderita cacat, penyandang kelainan atau abnormality, and most recently the terminology is anak berkebutuhan khusus. This is by Wibowo and Nguyen Research. The title is Inclusive Education in Indonesia, Equality in Education, Access for Disabilities in 2018. The definition disability mainly covers physical deficiencies and then develop in the scope of mental impairment. And lastly, the definition of children with special needs disability definition includes not only the disadvantages but also the advantages of above average normal children. The changes in terminology in Indonesia is constantly regarding the definition of disability are showing that understanding and the definition of disability in Indonesia is constantly changing. Furthermore, the definition of people with disabilities includes gifted and talented pupils, those with linguistic differences, and those in poverty. It is much more than acceptance of learners with disabilities into mainstream school, as the first speaker stated. Another barrier that might emerge, such as big age differences, or most likely older children, tend to have difficulties to learn and socialize in mainstream school. There's one example. The new school recruitment system in Jakarta is based on potential students' age as main factor in the registration process. The reasoning behind the scene is to give children of poor families access to education and to decrease the dropout rate. This is retrieved from the Jakarta Post in 2020. While so many protests came, mostly from parents, this shows that education is still perceived to be exclusive for some people. Thus, we are not agree with the definition from the opposition team. And we go to the unfollowed actually. Thus, not only the age matter, the future challenges will be emerge is from the gender aspect. There is actually more than two genders, not only boys, girls, non-binary, transgender, and etc. Sexual orientation, LGBTQ plus community, ethnicity, language, class, and HIV status also might be future challenges for the inclusive education. And we go next to the second point. While the presence of children with special needs in the community needs to get the same rights to obtain quality education like any other normal child, in line with the law of the Republic of Indonesia, number 4 in 1997, in the first paragraph of Chapter 10, is an explanatory section concerning children with special needs, and it states that the provision of accessibility for children with special needs is as much as possible based on their needs in accordance with the type and degree of specificity and the standards determined. This is by Edianto et al. in the in the pre-service teachers' attitudes towards inclusive education, an empirical study in Yogyakarta City in 2020. So this is the recent one. However, the implementation of inclusive education says otherwise. In a research conducted by Sunardi et al., in 2011, result around 46% of schools didn't set quote for special needs students. Only few schools, less than 10%, provided special equipment for students with visual disabilities, physical disabilities, speech and hearing difficulties, autism, and talent. In addition, the existence of entrance tests in primary schools in Indonesia also open up opportunities for the students with special needs marginalization. Students who can enter the primary schools that implement selection, only students who are able to take the test well, and research conducted by Carwano et al. Also find primary school students with disabilities who reject by school teacher. The reason for rejection is because teachers do not want to be bothered in educating students with special needs. It is also reported that many schools have not offered specially designed sports, arts, and vocational education programs to students with disabilities. Additionally, the curriculum and its components, such as books and learning materials, are centralized and generalized for all students across the country. This kind of curriculum may exclude the underprivileged students physically, academically, and socially. Moreover, many teachers wrote that they did not know how to change the curriculum and teaching materials. Some thought that special curricula and instruction materials for special needs students should be provided by the government or that curricular specialists should be provided in each inclusive school. Furthermore, some government assessment policies do not tend to promote inclusion, such as national exams and retention. Only special needs students with at least average intellectual capacity would be required to meet all the criteria set out in policy. In sum, the inclusive education in Indonesia did not represent the minorities and people with disability. Based on the point I have stated before, the changes in terminology regarding disabilities it is still remain unclear about which term represents whom and so on. Moreover, in the education field, it can be seen from various aspects. For example, the curriculum and the materials as well as the assessment policies used still centralized for all students in the country. There is no such adaptation made for those children who live unlike any other children without the inclusivity. Additionally, most of the teachers still lack of understanding the curricula and instruction materials for inclusive means that the teachers merely prepare for homogeneous students, not the heterogeneous one. It can be concluded that education for inclusive is something exclusive even for inclusive people. That's all I can say from the first speaker of negative team. Thank you, and I'll go give the time for the adjudicators. Thank you.
Thank you for the first speaker of the negative team. Next, the second speaker of the affirmative team, please.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone. My fellow negative team and the adjudicator. I'm Firman Jayudi. I will represent some points in um, from affirmative sides, but before that, I would like to rebut Miss Stephanie's statement because I found another view on some cases. In the first, about whether the curriculum provided by the schools or the government, I found an article that shows that the curriculum should be provided by the school since the disabilities are differ on each schools. And the statement about there's no such adaptations in curriculum material or academic evaluations, the truth is there are adaptations in math and other academic subjects based on students' need and the obstacles that they have, both in the curriculum and in the academic evaluations. Okay, now I will try to explain my point. The first is inclusive education at elementary school. Okay, based on this, Hadis on her research in 2005, sorry, mentions a modified curriculum for mathematics and other academic subjects have been used in learning teaching activities in Muhammadiyah Elementary School at Gunung Kidul. She also she also states that academic evaluation is adjusted to their level of ability, which according to the teachers is not so important anyway. The most important things according to the teachers is that the mentally retarded children are well adjusted, are happy, and enjoy being at school. And another another findings that found by Harris is the students' behavior in Muhammadiyah Elementary School at Gunung Kidul. She mentions that one of the students with special needs that enrolled in the school is happy and is fond of playing along with other classmates who are without disabilities. Based on this, we can conclude that curriculum used for math and academic subjects are modified based on the students' levels of ability. So do the academic evaluations. As the most important thing according to the teachers, is both mentally retarded children are well adjusted, happy, and enjoy being at school. In other words, teachers evaluate the mentally retarded children's positive behavior. The second point is inclusive educations at junior high school education. Based on Smith, Witono, and Fakhrudin in 2019, it's found that based on the special advisor teacher curriculum used in junior high school for at Praya is irregular, or the national curriculum, which has been modified to the needs of special needs students based on the results that have been done, the students' potentials, and the students' obstacles. The modifications carried out in the content or material, in the learning process time, in the media and tools, and in the result of the students' learning assessments. For the students' learning assessments, Smith, Withono, and Fahrudin also found that if there are students whose abilities are below the standard based on assessment, the teacher plans an individual learning program that is separate from the regular student lesson plans. So based on these articles, it is proven that there is a will to give a better learning teaching experience in school with inclusive educations by modifying the national curriculum based on students with disabilities needs. As for the low score in assessment, the teacher is willing to give individual learning program as a support for the students to receive equal educations. And the third point is about the positive impact of students with disabilities in school with inclusive curriculum. Uh, there's findings in Wibowo and Muin at 2016. In here, jury et al. At Wibowo and Muin in 2016 stated that there is a positive impact of an inclusive education, where the special needs students enroll in normal school give positive impact to the school and the environment. It is also stated that the children with autism disorder is Metro 2 Junior High School become winner at various national championships. The one who was resisted by the teachers now become the school's pride. In the same article, Wibowo and Anjar also found that children who have physical disabilities were able to develop good relationships with their classmates. In fact, the normal student is able to accept differences and develop empathy toward disability who experienced by the classmates. And Wibowo and Muin in 2016 also mentions that it is also not a problem for students with special needs to develop self-esteem well when they are enrolled in a school with inclusive curriculum. The conclusions we can take from this is it is proven that the special needs students do have the ability to achieve something great, and the positive impact they can give to their friends which do not have disabilities is encouraging empathy toward disabilities. It is also proven that developing self esteem is not a problem for the students with disabilities. Next, I'm going to make the summaries based on for the affirmative theme. First point, support from the government of Indonesia. The government put further sympathetic of disabilities and minorities' rights in education by establishing the laws number 20 of 2013, and of 2003, especially in chapter 4, article 5, verse 1 and 2. Next, the regulations from Indonesia Ministry of Education clearly give a point solutions regarding to inclusive education, number 70 of 2009. People with physical, psychological, mental, orthopedic impairment, they considered have potential and special talent. Based on this, they can involve in education and learning together with normal people. And next, according to Surat Edaran, Kemendiknas 2010, page 6, Dirjen Dikdasmen Dikdiknas number 380 /C/C6/MN 2003 on January 20th, 2003 focus on every area should have at least 4 schools with inclusive education. The next point is there have been development of training and education program to facilitate special guidance teacher for inclusive education. Next point, based on the result of 2018, there has been 1600 school with inclusive education spread in any kind of primary, secondary, and higher secondary and vocational high school all over Indonesia. And next point, Muliatul Maghfirah in 2018 mentioned that study program is in Tarbiyah Stain. Pamekasan has set the program for teachers to be ready in teaching in inclusive education. It's also found that inclusive education has been applied, especially in majority of PIAUD since 2016 and PGMI Guru Madrasah Ibtidaiyah since 2017. Next point is the application of inclusive education in PKBM Sriandi is considered to be success. We can see from the result of interview that student SEN can develop in terms of skills and knowledge. And it can be seen from the assessment process. Is performed in variative way and continuously, and it can be a feedback for the students. The next point is there is a curriculum used for math and academic subjects that modified based on students' level of ability. So do the academic evaluations. Next, next, there is a teacher's willingness to give individual learning program as a support for their students with special needs to receive equal educations. And the next point, the special needs students do have the ability to achieve something great and the positive impact that they can give to their friends which do not have disabilities is encouraging empathy toward disability. It is also proven that developing self-esteem is not a problem for students with disabilities. So based on all this, we can conclude that there is an effort from the government and from some schools to support inclusive curriculum. So the inclusive curriculum will represent minorities and disabilities. That's it for me. From me, the second speaker of affirmative team. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the second speaker of the affirmative team. Next, the second speaker of the negative teams, please.
Okay, thank you, Miss Adjudicator. Good day, everyone. I am from the negative team of the second speaker. The second speaker of the negative team will like to state once again that this motion is rejected by our team. Before I present my cases, I would like to review it. Not exactly review, but more like giving a second opinion or second perspective about Mr. Firman's case that state from Weibo and Muin that student with special need can maintain good relationship with their peers, their regular peers. Well, it how what if this positive point is what is it? Is being reviewed by the fact that not all their parents, especially students with special needs, their parents are not allowing them to study in a normal school. This lead to this third point, which is perception of inclusive education, but by the students' parents. Research found by Lampung and Adiputra in 2019 found that parents do have impact in inclusive education. Parents still have fears that their students uh, their student go to school with the same as the disabled children. Several parents may think that disabled children should not be mixed with regular students. For this reason, parents have this prejudice that children with disabilities will have difficulties adapting to regular children's lesson because they are different from like regular children, and they may be bullied by normal children. And unfortunately, not all level of students can do that because this research is based on the parents who have children around age 7 up to 11 years old, which is lower than junior high school. This research shows that the parents may be the reason why this positive point is refuted by this fact. Uh, I will go back to my presentations. The first one is the barriers of implementing inclusive curriculum. The first one is practical barriers such as facilities and infrastructure, financial, etc. The second barrier is power barriers, for example, rules made, disciplines, permits, and others. The third barrier is psychological barriers, that is the psychological condition of both implementers and students who are not confident or not ready to implement the inclusive education. The last barrier is value barriers, which states that children with special needs who have marginal abilities are considered to have no use. The second point is about the challenging factors. This includes an inadequacy of infrastructural aid and further teacher training. This point actually support the first barrier, that is practical, because research done by Rismayanti in 2019 said that some challenging factors may arise. Uh, this research also said that the headmaster of one vocational school in Malang said that the obstacles faced by their school is the lack of aid of infrastructure to support the teaching and learning activities. Moreover, the facilities in their school have not been fulfilled completely and properly. The headmaster of this vocational school also added that ongoing training for their teacher is necessary to understand and personalize of each student with special needs addressed by their regular teachers. Still with this point, another research done by Lampung and Adiputra in 2019 states that regular teachers face difficulty as they cannot attend to students with special needs individually one by one. Thus, special teachers are fundamental so that the children with disabilities can develop without hindrance. This leads back to the facilities and infrastructure used in public school have not been able to support the learning resources linked to networks of power and are imbued with a multiplicity of patterns, tension, and contradiction. The next point is about future challenge about gender and sexual inclusivity. With the fast change of development and issues emerge in educational section, new challenge may arise in our educational world. Study conducted by Meadows in 2018 state that comprehensive sexuality is needed. According to the Sexuality Information and Education Council of the United States, or SICUS, comprehensive sexuality education should aid teenagers in improving their positive perspective about sexuality. SICUS also explained that sexual health information is fundamental for teenagers to help them make decisions for their future. A qualitative study conducted by Western Australia in Western Australia by Cumming and Potvin in 2018 also state that how teachers there how teacher discourse there concerning the provision of LGBTQI curriculum and their resources in teaching and learning activities. Cumming and Potvin in 2018 state that federal government in Australia should help the Safe School Coalition for the provision of safe and inclusive school. Various correlated components appear useful for students. However, the absence of the discourse about references of LGBTQI existed and embodied experiences, signifying a language siloing which fails to support the rights of people of diverse genders or sexuality. Embracing diversity is viewed as our students' right to an equitable education, which is upheld by the United Nations Convention of the Rights of the Child, that states that through materials, procedures, and policies, education must be inclusive to all students' strengths and needs. Differences in ethnicity, language, culture, gender, socio-economic status, disability, sexual orientation, or geographical location should not be allowed to detract from a student's access to the high quality education as their right. The next point is I'm going to give summaries for our team. The first is the changes of definition and terminology of inclusive education over time. And the second point is the same rights to obtain quality education, with case that teachers do not bother to change their way of teaching to suit the students with special needs, and then types of barriers that emerge in implementing inclusive curriculum. The next point is perception of inclusive education by the parents, And then the last point is about the future challenge about gender and sexual inclusivity that may arise in our country. And for the last input, I want to say that therefore, in conclusion, the students with special needs or disabilities should get an education at extraordinary school or school for students with special needs to improve their learning ability and learning process smoothly without any obstacles. Thank you. That's all I can say. I will give this back to the Miss Adjudicators.
Okay, thank you for the second speaker of the negative team. Thank you both for both affirmative and negative team speaker. Do you guys have any suggestion and advice to other team?
No, I think.
I think everyone did great. Thank you. Good job, everyone.
Okay, based on the data, the negative team is the winner. Congratulations. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.